we're going to wake up one day and it's going to be too late, especially with China. One other aspect of what China's doing, though, is something that's bothered me for a long time. I know you've been very outspoken about it, is the use of TikTok. And I think it's a national security threat. I think, and it's funny because people will say to me, oh, I cannot tell you how many times somebody says to me, I don't care that they have my data. I'm not important.
Yeah, no, it's a real challenge. And so TikTok is fundamentally two issues. One is surveillance, and the second is foreign influence. On surveillance, you're right. They're scooping up, hoovering up data on millions and millions of Americans. And okay, so an individual says, what do I care? They've got my data. Like, okay, fine. But when the CCP is able to granularly comb through data for 300, potentially, hundreds of millions of Americans, they can get an insight and a perspective into our culture, into how to persuade us. That is like nothing we've seen before. And again, the second piece is foreign influence. You've seen it with the rise of sort of pro-Hamas content, but you saw it as well in our 2022 election where they sort of targeted select politicians for criticism. And so we absolutely need to take action against TikTok, and we can do it. Look, on the broadcast side, we started talking early on about these, broadcast television license process that the FCC runs. I can assure you that the CCP ByteDance would not be able to purchase a radio or TV broadcast license without passing a national security review that they couldn't pass.
So if you're a parent listening right now, your kid's on TikTok, what does Brendan Carr say to them as a FCC commissioner about their kids' use of it?
Look, within the first 30 minutes of accounts being set up on TikTok, there was a study cited by the New York Times that showed that the accounts were sending young girls eating disorder content and sort of other sort of self-harm content right off the bat. And that's not the content that China is sending to its kids over the version of the app Douyin that's available in China. It's sending things like museum exhibits, science experiments, educational material. And again, parents think of this like Facebook or Instagram, where you are following a network of friends or family. That is not at all how TikTok works. As soon as an account is set up for your kid, the algorithm, the company ByteDance, which has CCP officials working for it, is deciding what content to send to your kid.
It's almost like they recognize that technology is influencing kids' development, and they make their domestic version a spinach version of TikTok, while they ship the opium version to the rest of the world.
And so it's a very different type of social media than what, parents are used to in terms of, grandma's photos on Facebook. That's not what's happening here.